Little bit different episode today. You might notice the timestamp on this. I think this is going to turn out to be a much shorter episode. We're having another one of those situations where because of the rolling train wreck that my life has been for the past month, we ended up in yet another situation where I would have canceled this episode so that I could put out the latest explosive fire that is part of this train wreck. But Caitlin has 4 young children who she brings up with her when we record this, and she was already in the car. I think there are a lot of takeaways that we can get from this. Like, I've got to stop checking email in the afternoon that we do podcast recordings because I need to learn that it's never good. Did you guys know? Okay, did you guys see the movie Dune? It's funny. Even though I read the book, I had a little bit of a hard time following that plot. But the guy is, he's on a some hell planet, and there are these big worms that eat people, and there's not a lot of water. So that's what Dune is about. I can't believe I read that book, and that's my best summary. Anyway, so there is a point where I guess to test his ability to battle the giant worms, an old witch has him put his hand in a box that is complete pain. Did you see it? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, no. This is a famous scene in Dune. And I guess it's like to test his worthiness because he's a prince or something. So he slips his hand into this box and you can see this. I mean, it's incredible acting on the part of this actor. I mean, the way his face contorts into this is the worst pain known to mankind, and the lady is seeing if he can handle it. So his hand is in the box. He's dropping to his knees in agony. That's me checking my email right now. That is every day of my life is hand in the Dune box at this point. So I've rather than keep making these opaque references to why I keep almost canceling my podcast taping because my life is a dumpster fire, I need to just tell you guys what's going on. So this will be a short episode where I'll tell you as much as I can about what is going on. And I do have an exciting, perhaps redeeming announcement at the end. It is pretty exciting. So if you want to hear the announcement, listen to the end or just skip to the end. But there you go. This is a little bit very special episode of the Jen Fulwiler Show. Update about my Huntsville show is tonight as of when this taping occurs. Huntsville is tonight. Nashville is tomorrow, Thursday, August 22nd, I think. Is that Thursday? August 22nd, yes. I think. 21st is Huntsville. Definitely come on out. You can still get tickets. And I've had a lot of questions about it. There's some language on these websites that says they might put your phone in sealed bags. Comedy clubs do this sometime. They will not do that. They are not taking your phones. I have a policy that they cannot take my people's phones or put them in locked bags. So I had some people asking about that. Come out to the shows. We are not taking phones. So those links are in the show notes, and I would love to see you guys. I will be in rare form. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. Nashville and Huntsville, yes. You will be telling your grandchildren about the mood that I was in at these shows. Welcome to the Jen Fulwiler Show. I am your beleaguered host, Jen. I am a stand-up comic, best-selling author, and mom of 6. This is the podcast where you learn the art of the village hustle. That is being a hot girl boss or hot boy boss who knows that love and family and community are the foundations for all true success. We publish new episodes every Wednesday morning, and we are coming to you from Austin, Texas. Caitlin White is our lovely producer. You can find out how to get consulting work from her in the show notes as well. All right, let's jump right into it. More details about what happened are on my Patreon. I'll tell you guys the basics, but I want to emphasize if you'd like to know a bit more, It's on the Patreon. I'm not doing that to build my Patreon. That I'm not above it though. I mean, let me tell you, if turning my life into a train wreck would triple my Patreon income, I'll do it. Listen, I'll develop a drug habit, like whatever. Light drugs, nothing, not black tar heroin, but just something fun, something a little fun. I'm not above doing it. But no, that is actually not my purpose. I'm just trying to keep all of this off of Google. I have it behind a paywall to just keep it off of Google. Things on the internet live forever. Yeah. And so I have been doing a series of Patreon lives, and the replays are up. There was one on August 12th, one on August 18th. If you can join my Patreon at any level, the cheapest level, whatever, and watch the replays of these live chats. And because, again, I'm not doing this to make money. I really don't care if you join, watch the videos, and unsubscribe. I'm just trying to keep this stuff off of Google. It is kind of funny, though, that I think people are starting to use my Patreon as their new sitcom. Like they're not, they're not watching whatever show is hot right now because they're like, I have Jen's dumpster fire life. I mean, this is fun to just keep up with. And as I can, I'm not sure how this is going to play out or what my schedule will look like, but if there are breaking developments in this story, I might just keep jumping on Patreon live. I did one the other night, totally spontaneously. I was like, you will never believe what happened. So there, I can only share minimal details here, but it will be, more is on Patreon. And then I also, if you don't want to join the Patreon, I can say a little more on my email list. That link is also in the show notes. Okay. So what happened was a few weeks ago, I got dropped by my agent and my manager on the same day. Do you know what an accomplishment that is? Normally, if there is a parting of ways, those decisions are staggered. The only time I have ever heard of someone getting dropped by both representatives on the same day is when like they polish off a bottle of Jack Daniels and start texting minors. And, I mean, that's usually what it takes. It is usually something along those lines. Like they do some meth and then they go on an Instagram live and say they're going to assassinate a political figure or something like that. Like that's usually what it takes to have those drops happen on the same day. But I managed to do it. I am in good company of very few people who that has happened to. And so the reason was that I am too iconic. That's not what they said, but it's what I heard. And I think that we should focus on that. So yeah, Jen, why did your agent manager drop you in one phone call on the same day? I was too iconic. I think that's what they meant. I believe in reading into the intent of people's statements. So the drop itself was not a problem. That wasn't the problem. There was mutual agreement on my end as well that was a good decision. It's something I was even kind of pushing for. It's the drop was not the problem. That was a good. We all made good decisions there. But there was some aftermath from it, just related to that situation, that left me with just a lot to deal with. Mainly that I didn't have anything scheduled in terms of shows and things like that. And there's more to that story, but that's what I say. That's what's on Patreon. So if you want to know more about why the aftermath was such a big problem, going into some of the details of how my career works and why I was just floored by a situation that resulted from that. That is what I talked about on the August 12th Patreon Live, and the replay is there. I don't want to go into those details like publicly, but you can look that up there if you want. So that was a massive thing that I was dealing with, was just the booking situation, and just some miscommunication had left a pretty. It was a massive issue. So then there was a second situation where there was a business deal separate from what happened with my agent and manager, where there was a very significant amount of income that I thought was 95% that it would come in. It was implied to me that income would come in. And there was a critical piece of information that I was not told when I did that deal. When I did that deal, I gave up certain other income opportunities to get the income that would be 95%. Didn't end up getting that income, and it was a very significant amount. And I believe it is because of that very significant piece of information that was not disclosed to me in the negotiation. So then there was that income situation that was also a big deal that had to be resolved. So that is where we have been. And as of 1 week ago today, I had no plans, no vision. I had no idea where we would go from here, because there were just certain things that I found out very late that put me back so far that I actually thought, I thought, this might be unrecoverable. And I'm so delusional. I live in fairyland. I'm delusional. Like, it's crazy how much I believe that things will work out. And I tend to believe in myself. I believe I can figure things out to a fault. I need to get Instagram to stop showing me those memes that are like, believe in yourself, you can do it. They're just getting me in trouble. I need to get on low self-esteem Instagram. That's like, maybe you shouldn't. You actually can't do everything. Like, I need to get on that Instagram, because it's just, I need to stop looking at these girl boss memes, because they're like, girls can't do anything. Sometimes you girl boss too close to the sun. Sometimes it doesn't work out for you. So anyway, so I truly didn't know what I was going to do. And I actually thought, I mean, is this it for me? Is this unrecoverable? For the first time in anything I've done, you guys know I'm an author. I did, published with HarperCollins and had these books, and Sirius XM radio host, and all of the challenges that, come with being in that media world, and then breaking into, stand-up comedy. I've been through a lot, and I never had the thought like I might be out of options. I mean, this might be enough of a setback that this might be the knockout punch. And so what I did was I told God he just had to figure this out, and I really didn't care which direction it went. I did that thing that I don't know if you guys ever get to this point when, if you have some project that you've started and it's just so much worse than you ever dreamed it could be, the problems that you're facing. And so you go on social media and you start looking at other people's lives, and you're like, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to transition into, I'm going to flip houses. I've been on House Flip Talk. And so like one day I would decide I'm just going to flip houses. Like, just get I don't need a podcast. Like, I'm going to work with my hands in the sun, in the heat, be ripping down walls, and a bunch of wasps fly out, some rats come in. And I am that wanting to dissociate from my current problems that I actually convinced myself I could do that. And then I think, like, I should garden. You know what? It's the simple life for me, guys. I don't need any of this. I'm going to garden. That's it. That's fine. And so that's what I was telling God. I was giving God a list of all these things that I could do alternatively. I was like, if you're calling me out of all of this, it's really fine. I could do ASMR videos, except for the fact that I am a disaster and my house is a mess. So it wouldn't be ASMR videos of my fridge restock where everything has its place and everything's perfect. It would be ASMR videos of me stepping on the crumbs that are on the floor because I never clean anything up. It would be the wadded cereal box from 2 days ago that you have the crunch sound. So I told God I could do that. I was like, I'll be happy. I will be happy. I was going to buy one of my daughters something on Etsy, and I told God, I was like, I'll make jewelry. That's it. That's my new Jen, the jewelry maker. And people will be like, oh, did have you watched that great comedy special, Maternal Instinct, on YouTube by the stand-up comedian Jen Fulwiler? And people will be like, no, Jen, you mean Jen the jewelry maker? Because that's what she's about now. When she is not flipping houses and doing home reno, doing plumbing work and installing drywall, she is making curated jewelry. That's what she's about. You should get one of her necklaces. So I told God, I was like, seriously, I whatever you want to do here is fine with me. And I got a series of answered prayers and kind of signs, signal graces, that was so crazy that I've almost never in my life seen God be so hitting me over the head bold. So much so that even so before this all happened, before the real everything started falling apart, I talked about this a little bit more on the Patreon, the August 18th Patreon live. But I actually wrote in my journal, I said, God's doing something. He is afoot. I don't know what this means, but he's telling me that he is about to do something. And what's funny is I was boarding a plane and I was like, oh, what if I'm going to die? And this is like God giving me last moments of comfort. I'm not even kidding. The signs that God was sending me were so over the top and crazy that I actually was trepidatious about the flight, because it was clear that God was doing something. And then I checked email after the flight and I was like, I wish that plane had gone down. Like, I'm kidding, but that's my macabre humor. But I'm in a mood, guys. I'm telling you, I'm on one. So God had been telling me that he was doing something. And so when I uncovered this Pandora's box of problems, a veritable pirate's treasure chest, glittering with one problem after another, I just turned it over to God. I was like, I will start my Etsy shop tomorrow. I will start my garden tomorrow. I will start flipping houses and my ASMR videos tomorrow. If that's where you're calling me, the level at which I don't care anymore, like, I'm just open to whatever. And a series of doors opened that were so crazy. It was wild. And long story short, I went from having nothing, like no plans career-wise for touring, which is the bread and butter of my business. It's how I make most of my income, to I got connected with just the right person who is incredible, who is a star. In 3 days, count them, 1, 2, 3, we have a tour. We have a full fall tour. And he even said, he was like, I've never seen a tour come together like this. And again, this was just a few days ago that this all came together. And as of 1 week ago, there was nothing. I hadn't even had a conversation with this person. I was figuring out what my Etsy username would be for my jewelry shop. I mean, it came together so profoundly and so quickly that I was like, oh, okay, well, this is what God was talking about. So there are still some pretty massive things I have to deal with. I have had some setbacks, just things, miscommunications that I accepted. Leadership, I did not push for certain things that I should have been pushing for. I wanted to be a people pleaser rather than a girl boss. I didn't ask questions I should have asked, and that's on me. And so now I am facing the fallout from that. So that's why this episode is shorter, because I have a lot to deal with. But this is fall tour by God. God is my tour planner. I mean, the guy who booked it is amazing as well. But I'm telling you, this is fall tour by God. I am going to a whole bunch of cities, and let me tell you, we are going to have such a good time. I mean, I feel so grateful. I feel so relieved. I'm so grateful for all of you guys who have been with me on this podcast and on the Patreon, and with all the ups and downs and the successes and the difficult things. And you guys have been amazing. And now that I have been through all this, it makes me appreciate even more. It just makes me appreciate even more every single one of you, and being able to get out and connect with you guys. So I am announcing next week. Next week, we will announce what cities I'm going to. These are some of my favorite cities to tour to. And then there are quite a few others people on Patreon were requesting, and almost all of them we are looking at for spring. So very, very exciting turn of events. And you know, and it's interesting too, that when we first parted ways with my other representation, I had meetings with other people. I had some interesting conversations, and with everyone else who I talked to, except for the person I've ended up with, I just thought, this person's great. Really enjoy talking to them. We'll keep in touch. Can't wait to see them at events and stuff. But I just thought, yeah, I'm not. Maybe it's the Etsy shop, maybe it's, I don't feel this door opening. There's nothing wrong with this person, but I just don't, I don't feel this door opening. And then the last call that I took when I had resigned myself, I was like, this has to be God closing this door, because for once, I don't have a solution. I think this is an insurmountable problem that I have here. Last meeting I took was the one that 3 days later, most of these problems are solved. It's crazy. So, just, turn it over to God when, when you're facing some kind of crazy dumpster fire. I'm going to go back to fighting the various battles that I have on my plate to dig myself out of the Battle of Thermopylae that I have been in for the past month. I think that next week's podcast episode will be a lot of fun, because there is a lot that I want to talk about, and I just was not able to get to it this week. So should be a lot of fun. Can't wait to chat with you guys next week, and I will be back with you as always here on the Jen Fulwiler Show. And of course, come out to Nashville and Huntsville. Those links are in the show notes, and the Patreon link is in the show notes. Patreon.com/thisisjen. And yes, it's fine if you want to jump on the Patreon, watch the videos, and jump off. All right, see you guys next week.